Welcome to InfoNest Daily, the podcast that brings the world's biggest stories straight to your ears today. We're heading into the heart of the Canadian Rockies, where one of the most tense and closely watched G7 summits is underway. This weekend, from June 15th to 17th, the leaders of the Group of Seven, that's Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the UK, and the United States, are gathering in Kananaskis, Alberta. It's the 51st meeting of this powerful bloc. But this isn't just another summit. It's the return of Donald Trump to the G7 table, and that's already shifting the dynamic. The G7 represents 44% of global GDP, but only about 10% of the world's population. Traditionally, it's where the world's wealthiest democracies coordinate their economic and foreign policy goals. But this year, it's more like a geopolitical pressure cooker. Top of the agenda, the Middle East crisis, after Israel launched strikes on Iran's military and nuclear facilities just days ago. US-China trade tension, Russia's war in Ukraine, and even questions about Canada's sovereignty, after Trump joked Canada should become the 51st US state. Besides the core seven nations and the European Union, Canadian PM Mark Carney has extended invitations to Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, as well as leaders from Australia, Brazil, South Africa, South Korea, and possibly even Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. But Modi's invitation is drawing criticism in Canada, especially from Sikh groups, after the 2023 assassination of a Sikh separatist on Canadian soil, which Trudeau blamed on India. Let's break it down. Here's what's expected to dominate the summit's closed-door talks. Middle East escalation. The Israel-Iran conflict is front and center. Trump's critics are expected to demand answers on de-escalation efforts. Global trade. Trump's tariff war is still alive. The US has imposed, then paused, sweeping trade tariffs on G7 members. The EU, UK, and Japan are scrambling to finalize deals before Trump's July deadline. Russia and Ukraine. The US is now the lone G7 country resisting new sanctions on Russia. Trump has been in quiet talks with Putin. The rest of the G7? Not pleased. China. From the South China Sea to global supply chains, expect intense discussion on Beijing's economic influence and military. Global development. Historically a G7 staple, but this year, the US is cutting back. USAID has been gutted, and foreign aid is no longer a priority. Beyond the group photo and summit hall diplomacy, these side meetings could reshape global politics. Trump is set to meet with EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and Japan's PM Ishiba over trade. A North American tri-meet is expected between Trump, Carney, and Sheinbaum, focused on border security and fentanyl trafficking. And a second meeting with South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa is planned, after Trump controversially accused South Africa of genocide against white farmers. This summit could seize or break them apart. With Trump back in the game, the world is watching. Will this G7 be remembered for unity or for unraveling? Thanks for tuning in to InfoNest Daily. If you found today's episode insightful, share it, rate us, and hit subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. I'll see you next time, where global stories meet local.